That's Nicholas Harry Callis singing Run, Run, Rudolph at our Christmas party this year. And guess what? Rudolph is running right back to the Pittsburgh Steelers, baby, maybe. Maybe. We were told last night by somebody that we trust that Mason Rudolph is considering coming back to the Steelers, and there are two other teams that right now are interested in Mason Rudolph. So the Steelers, one of three. And at first blush, and this is what you said back in the chat, basically, is why the frig would this guy want to come back here? Mm-hmm. And the response we got was, if it's Aaron Rodgers at 41, soon to be 42 mid-season years old, that Rudolph views it as an opportunity to get some playing time. Like Rodgers at 42, like he could go down.
Yeah.
He blew out his Achilles a couple years ago. Even if it's Russ, he was hurt this year at 36. But the person who we were talking to said, if it's Rodgers, Rudolph would really be interested in coming back here because he think he'd get an opportunity to play some games. How do you feel about that?
I would love it. I think Mason, I think he got the shaft whenever he was here. I thought that every time he got an opportunity, I thought he played some decent football. Not only did he get the shaft by the Steelers, but he had some bad luck. Like, at the end of the day, I mean, the whole Earl Thomas thing, the Myles Garrett thing, he had some bad luck when he was here. I think that he would be a really good backup quarterback. I just don't think that the way that it ended, he would ever come back. Like, they would have to really, you talk about selling the Steelers, like they would have to really sell to Mason Rudolph to come back because I don't think it ended well. I think they tried to lowball him, and he just was feeling in his feelings, rightfully so, of like, you guys had me on the roster for so long, now that you want me, all that good stuff that we've talked about before.
Right.
I just don't know why he would entertain coming back unless it was like the money was right, unless that he knew that he was going to get a legit opportunity to start some games.
Which I don't think that's going to happen for Mason anymore. And with the quarterback market right now, I mean, I think he probably understands where he fits into the NFL ecosystem. Like, I think he probably understands that in order to be a starter again, it's going to have to be a quarterback goes down, a quarterback gets hurt.
Yeah.
And if Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback for the Steelers, I could see why he would be interested. But, trust is such a big thing. And it's not like they'd be promising him anything if he came back, clearly. Like, they wouldn't be bringing him back as the starting quarterback, but I wouldn't be able to forget the way that it went before.
No.
And you're right, they did lowball him last offseason after he kept Mike Tomlin's non-losing season streak intact.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were destined to just go on that death spiral and not make the playoffs, and Rudolph comes in and he saves the streak. And it was the best quarterback play we had seen from the Steelers since Ben. I mean, that's not hyperbole. He was outstanding those first two games. Then they played in the monsoon in Baltimore, and nobody played well offensively on either side. And in the playoff game, he threw a costly red zone pick, but I don't think he was the reason why they lost the game. Like, he wasn't embarrassing out there. And they say, hey, you want to come back? And right in the middle of all that, they bring in Russell Wilson to talk. So I'd have a hard time getting past that if I were Mason Rudolph. Do I mind it? No. Does it evoke strong emotions either way for me? No. He is what he is. I would probably prefer, as we discuss it, to have a not good backup quarterback, and I think Mason is a good backup quarterback. I want, if Rodgers goes down, I don't want the season to be saved. And this is hypothetically, of course, if Rodgers is here, but the same with Russ. Mm-hmm. If those guys go down, and they don't view it this way, let's be clear, and we all know that, I don't want it to be saved. Mm-hmm. If your starter goes down, you're not winning the Super Bowl unless you're the Philadelphia Eagles and you've got Nick Foles and you have a perfect ecosystem around that quarterback.
Right.
So I would rather just totally bomb out. Like, if Rodgers gets hurt, I'd want a young, high-baited dude who could maybe be good and then possibly be a solution, or he could also stink. Mm-hmm. I think with Mason Rudolph, you're going to run the ball. You're going to play defense. He can throw a pretty good deep ball. With the receivers they have, he might be able to keep you afloat. I don't know that that's necessarily a good thing.
I mean, this is a whole different regime, though, too, for Mason. Like, he's not just walking back to the Pittsburgh Steelers and it's all the same. Like, this is an Arthur Smith offense. It's different than what he's accustomed to here.
Truth.
So, he would have to learn a whole new offense, and, who knows if he fits what Arthur Smith wants to do, but I think that a lot of quarterbacks can because they do want to run the football first. But I don't know. I would take him. I would 100% take him. I just don't know if he would ever want to come back. Like, I don't know how much truth there is to that. Him wanting to come back. Like, I know that he's going to entertain the discussion, but really deep down, does he really want to come back and just be pushed aside again, really? But up front this time? Like, hey, up front, we're going to tell you you're not going to be the guy. But before we wanted to have you dangling along the whole entire time since we drafted you. We're just going to tell you.
Yeah, it would connote too many bad memories for me. I mean, you laid it out there, Garrett, and the Earl Thomas hit, and they take his face mask off, and that whole weird deal coming off the field, and Duck Hodges, and Kenny Pickett, and Mitch Trubisky. The organization is different from the top down except for one guy, and that's Mike Tomlin. And I would always appreciate Mike Tomlin if I were Mason because of how he stood up for me in the face of that Myles Garrett thing.
Yeah.
Like, Tomlin did go on national television to stick up for his guy when Mike Tomlin doesn't do that kind of thing. Like, Mike Tomlin speak when he doesn't need to speak. He never does that. I would respect him for that. But as far as my working relationship with him, I'd be looking at Tomlin all the time and go, man, you don't know what the hell you're doing at quarterback. And you haven't for my entire career. When you hear Mason Rudolph to the Steelers, what do you think? 412-928-9370. Would you like to see the Steelers bring him back? I saw some people say they'd like to have him as the starter. Not because they think he'd win a bunch of games, but because he'd be cheap and you can surround him with talent and you're not tying yourself to the biggest soap opera in the league, Aaron Rodgers. Also, I just wanted to play this again.
Oh my gosh. Santa, make him hurry, tell him we can take the freeway now.
That was really the start of the year of Callis.
Yep. That was the start.
He took over Christmas karaoke. He was the star. Then the year flips over. Are you still dating that woman? I haven't heard anything.
Yes.
Okay, good.
That woman.
You know what? She actually volunteered at BPTV yesterday for the Pittsburgh Sportsline show we did.
Uh-oh.
It was great.
Don't poop where you eat, Callis. You ever heard that one?
No, she's very nice.
I know that. She's dating you. She's wonderful.
She did some behind-the-scenes stuff in high school for, cameras, so she knew what she was doing. It was great.
So you could potentially be working together?
Yeah, she's volunteering. It's a volunteer facility just for that show. Yeah.
Be careful there.
Yep.
Be careful there.